Thank you, Representative Owen and the committee for the opportunity to share. My name is Reagan Dugan, and I'm the Director of Higher Education Initiatives at Parents Defending Education Action. We fight indoctrination on campuses across the country to restore a quality, non-political education for all students. This legislation is part of a growing national consensus. Across the country, state legislatures have concluded that decades of neglect have produced universities increasingly insulated from public accountability and that their boards are the appropriate corrective. Florida passed reforms in 2023 and has kept its first place rankings in the nation for higher education. Texas followed last year, and Alabama signed similar legislation just this month. Florida and Texas have both seen enrollment records this past year, and these reforms are not driving students away. Louisiana has an opportunity to join this movement at exactly the right moment. Louisiana currently ranks 50th in the U.S. News & World Report's higher ed state rankings, dead last. Louisiana taxpayers deserve institutions that are accountable for that result. Thankfully, when Louisiana decides to fix education, those fixes work. The reforms championed by this legislature have taken Louisiana to its highest K-12 ranking in history. HB 1063 is the higher education equivalent of that reform agenda. The South is surging, and Louisiana should be leading it. Fundamentally, HB 1063 is about ensuring the authority vested in the management boards of these institutions is clear. These boards exist per the state constitution to, quote, supervise and manage the institutions, programs, and properties, end quote, of their systems. Requiring boards to publicly certify curriculum and approve hiring in public meetings is an exercise of supervisory and management authority, not an expansion of it. A board cannot supervise and manage an institution without authority over what it teaches and who it employs. I'll briefly touch on how some of the provisions of HB 1063 achieve this. First, Louisiana taxpayers invest over $1 billion annually in public universities. No management board has ever been required to certify that the courses students must take to graduate meet any defined academic standard. This legislation requires boards to confirm the courses mandatory in Louisiana are aligned with 3 criteria so all graduates are prepared to lead worthwhile, professional, civic, and personal lives after graduation, regardless of their degree program. This is about accountability to the taxpayer and the students themselves. No content is banned and no ideology is pushed. Second, all administrator and tenure track hires currently require no public meeting, no advance posting, and no board vote. HB 1063 does not create any new authority over this process. It ensures that existing authority is exercised on the record in public with a vote. Third, faculty senates are advisory bodies under state law. In practice, though, decades of deference have created an unwritten arrangement where these bodies exercise authority with no legal basis. HB 1063 codifies what the law has always said, that these bodies are advisory only, while explicitly protecting freedom of association and academic freedom. In sum, the South is moving. Louisiana has the opportunity to take the lead with it. Louisiana's students and taxpayers deserve transparency in what is being taught, who's being hired, and assurance that their tax money is working for Louisiana.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cook, did you also want to give testimony?
Madam Chair, I'm going to rest our case.
Okay, thank you. There are a few questions. Rep. Amade.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rep. Owen, I'm disappointed that I don't get to vote on this today, but everything I see in the bill, I really appreciate. I like what I'm hearing. Mr. Dugan, I didn't get to write down the name of the organization that you represent, so if you could restate the name and tell me where online I can learn more about it.
Yes, I'm with Parents Defending Education Action. You can find us at actionpde.org.
Tell me again, Action.
Parents Defending Education Action. Action, the letters pde.org.
Thank you. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Rep. Amade. Rep. Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that your reason for bringing this, Rep. Owen, and you and I have disagreed about this, so I'm glad we're not having to vote on it today because I have grave concerns about it. Mr. Dugan, what is your educational background?
Yes, ma'am. I attended college at Hillsdale College up in Michigan and worked in higher education for about half a dozen years in student affairs, admissions, and that sort of work.
Admissions and student affairs?
Yes, ma'am.
So you had college experience?
Yes, ma'am. I worked, read hundreds of applications, interviewed students, worked on...
And was that at Hillsdale or at
Yes,
another
ma'am.
university?
Yes,
at Hillsdale. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Freiberg. Rep. Taylor.
Thank you. My question, I did read with reference to it, we would, Louisiana would not have to pay the school system for this service. Who pays for this?
What service?
This board, this new board, who pays for that board?
Well, there was a fiscal note that's floating, and so it is kind of OBE. It's kind of overcome by events at this moment because we're not going to do it. But the Board of Supervisors is already in those institutions.
Okay, but don't we already have several boards in effect right now? You know, the Bessie board, tell me the names of the boards that we already have. Is this another board that we're going to have to appropriate money for?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What other boards do we already have? What other boards do we already have?
The vision for this, for higher ed, is that the Board of Supervisors for LSU, for Southern, for the UL system, for the Regents, for them to take the stick in being able to evaluate what is being done inside the institutions, inside their organizations. It's those boards, the governing boards that are already in place.
So we have levels of boards that are already in effect. How many of those do we already have? Maybe that makes it perfectly clear. I want to know what boards are already in effect, and are we adding another one?
No, we're not adding another one. We have 4 major boards.
Okay, what are they?
CLTCC.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. You have to tell me what it means.
But you know what LSU is, you know what Southern is, and the UL system, and then the last one is the LCTCS.
And funds are being appropriated for each one of these boards.
Already, yes.
And we adding an additional board to appropriate funds for that board too? That's what I'm asking you.
No, ma'am. We're not doing anything today or even
Well,
this year.
are we proposing this for the future? Who's going to pay for that board in the future?
They're already funded.
By whom?
By the state.
A non-existent board is already funded by the state?
No, ma'am.
If I could speak on this, so the current setup is the Board of Regents supervises the high-level strategic decisions, and the boards of management, these boards of supervisors for these institutions already exist. This is reaffirming their constitutional authority and asking that they exercise that authority that already exists. There's no new boards.
Okay.
This is confirming the Constitution of the state and making sure that these boards manage and supervise as they're required to do by the Constitution.
So that's clarity. We're not creating a new board. We're utilizing whatever structure we already have in place, and funds are already allocated for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that's the only questions that I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Taylor. Rep. Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rep. Owen, as I was going through this, I understood where you were going, and my question is less about whether we should, but whether the boards could. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't know how many hires the University of Louisiana system has every year, or LSU or Southern or LCTCS. I do imagine that the board plays a role in those high-level administrative hires, right? We've had several new university presidents recently, and I see that in their purview. But with the capacity of their service, could they be involved in every hiring decision?
You made the good point. Could they or should they?
Yeah,
and I think
those are two different questions.
I think that's what's going to help us pan out, is to talk about this over time.
Okay.
Really just wanted to have this discussion this year. I was hopeful we could have started earlier, but I wish I had 3 more wishes.
I've got a couple bills like that too.
I looked up and 2 months were gone.
Yeah,
so
I have a couple bills in the same predicament. What my thought going forward for you would be, I would want to see, like, just on average, maybe even over 5 years, what those faculty hires look like at each of those systems, just to see whether they even could do it. Anyway, I appreciate where you're working, and I think that would be helpful if you wanted us to consider it in the future. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If I could add on to that point, the requirements of this are that they approve the hiring postings, not necessarily the specific hiring to the boards of the professors themselves. That can be done in a batch fashion. The biggest change would be that these postings must be posted 30 days before the meeting. So that adds a level of transparency that the taxpayers are able to see what exactly are we hiring for. The board isn't necessarily having to directly hire these faculty.
Thank you very much. Okay, the board is clear. We do have the 2 green cards present in support wishing to speak. Johnny Koch with Parents Defending Education Action, and Reagan Dugan, Parents Defending Education Action. Rep. Owen, would you like to close on your bill?
I would, Madam Chair. Thank you all for listening, and please understand how much I come to this fight loving Louisiana. I've told some of y'all before, I don't think I've said this to everyone. My wife and I made a decision to come back here when my service in the Air Force got over, because this is home. This is where we were educated, where our families were educated, where our children are educated. Want to find ways to make us better. And I think 6 years ago, when a decision was made to hire Cade Brumley as the superintendent of education, we got out of the way and let them do their thing. And so I think we could be at that point now, not necessarily where we hire somebody, where we think of a different way, and then we turn it over to educators, and so the public can understand what we're doing. That's really all this is about. So what I would like to do, Madam Chair, is move that we voluntarily defer this bill.
Thank you, Rep. Owen. Committee members, Rep. Owens made a motion to report HB 1063 voluntarily defer.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, 1063 will be voluntarily deferred.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rep. Owen. And I know I